Good morning, everyone. I want to start with a question. When something breaks in your life, what's your first instinct? Most of us try to hide the cracks, to make things look like they were never broken. But there's a centuries-old Japanese art form that does exactly the opposite. It doesn't hide the breaks, it illuminates them with gold. Today, we're going to explore Kintsugi, the art of golden repair, and I promise you'll never look at broken things the same way again. Here's our roadmap. We'll start by understanding what Kintsugi actually is, then travel back to 15th century Japan to discover how it all began with one shogun's broken tea bowl. We'll look at the painstaking craft itself, explore the deeper philosophy behind it, see how it connects to Japanese tea culture, meet the artists keeping it alive today, and finally, ask what all of this means for our own lives. It's a journey from craft to philosophy to something deeply personal. Think about that for a moment. We are surrounded by a culture of perfection, flawless Instagram feeds, pristine surfaces, the pressure to seem unbroken. Kintsugi says, stop hiding. The cracks in that bowl, they're not damage. They're a map of where the light gets in. This idea didn't come from a marketing team. It came from 15th century Japanese craftsmen who decided that repair could be an act of beautification, not just restoration. Let's explore what Kintsugi actually is. Let's get grounded in what Kintsugi actually is. The word breaks down as kin, gold, and tsugi, joinery. It's literally the art of joining things back together with gold. But here's what makes it fundamentally different from every other repair tradition on Earth. Kintsugi doesn't try to make the break invisible. It makes the break the most beautiful part of the object. The gold isn't hiding anything. It's celebrating the crack, the damage, the history. It says, this bowl broke, and that breaking is part of its story now. Every great tradition has an origin story, and Kintsugi's is particularly wonderful. Picture this, it's the late 1400s, and the Shogun, the military ruler of Japan, has this beloved Chinese tea bowl. It breaks. He does what any reasonable person would do and sends it back to China for expert repair. But when it comes back, it's held together with these ugly metal staples. Functional, but frankly, a bit of an eyesore. The shogun looks at it and says, essentially, we can do better than this. And that moment of dissatisfaction, that refusal to accept ugly repair, is what sparked one of the most beautiful craft traditions in human history. Now let's look at the actual craft, because Kintsugi is not a quick fix. It's slow, demanding, and almost meditative. First, every single shard is gathered. Nothing is thrown away, even the tiniest fragment matters. Then comes urushi, the raw sap of the Japanese lacquer tree. It's applied in multiple thin layers as the glue that holds the pieces together. And I should mention, in its raw state, it can cause skin reactions, so craftspeople work with enormous care. While the lacquer is still wet, the artisan dusts it with powdered gold, and this is the magic moment where the crack becomes a vein of light. Finally, each layer is cured under very specific humidity and temperature conditions. A single piece can take months. That patience is part of the philosophy. Here's where Kintsugi becomes more than a craft technique. It becomes a way of seeing the world. On the left, you have the physical practice, the patient, meticulous work of joining broken ceramics with gold. But on the right is what makes Kintsugi resonate so powerfully across centuries and cultures. The philosophy says, your cracks are not embarrassing secrets. They're your biography written in gold. Every heartbreak, every failure, every time life shattered you, those aren't things to disguise. They're the golden seams that make you, you. And here's the key insight. The repaired bowl is actually considered more beautiful, more valuable than the flawless original. Think about what that means for how we treat our own scars. Now let's zoom out a bit and place Kintsugi in its cultural home. Kintsugi didn't develop in isolation. It's deeply woven into Japanese aesthetics, and nowhere is that more visible than in the tea ceremony. Let's step into the tea room. The tea ceremony, chanoyu, is where Kintsugi found its deepest meaning. Tea masters practice wabi-sabi, a worldview that finds beauty in the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete. Now imagine you're at a tea gathering. The host passes you a bowl that's been repaired with gold. That bowl isn't a backup, it's the most treasured piece in the collection. Why? Because it carries a story. It has lived, it broke, and was remade more beautiful. In the tea room, that's not a flaw, that's the whole point. This is where Kintsugi stops being a repair technique and becomes a spiritual practice. So where is Kintsugi now in 2026? It's thriving, but it's also evolving. A new generation of artists around the world is taking this ancient craft in surprising new directions. Let's meet some of them. Let me introduce you to a few of the people carrying Kintsugi forward. Tomomi Kamoshita in Tokyo teaches a modern version using resin-based lacquer and brass powder instead of the traditional material that can cause skin reactions. But she also does something really inventive called yobitsugi. That's where you take broken pieces from completely different ceramics and join them together into one new object. It's like a mosaic of different histories, all held together with gold. Then you have artists like Yi Suk-young in Korea, who works at enormous scale, think large sculptural installations, and Rachel Sussman and Tatiana Freitas, who apply the golden join philosophy to things that aren't even pottery, cracked walls, broken furniture, unexpected surfaces. The core idea travels and adapts and stays alive. I want to address something important before we close. Kintsugi has become genuinely global. You'll find it referenced in therapy, in design, in self-help books, all over Instagram. And that's in many ways beautiful. The core wisdom about embracing imperfection is genuinely universal. But there's a responsibility that comes with cultural borrowing. Real Kintsugi is not a 5-minute craft kit. It's months of skilled labor using tree sap that literally has to be harvested, processed, and cured under precise conditions. When we reduce it to a decorative trend, we lose the depth. So the invitation is, appreciate fully, learn the history, respect the craft. Let the philosophy change you, but don't forget where it came from. And here we are, at the end of our journey through the golden cracks. I want to leave you with just one thought. Kintsugi isn't really about pottery. It's about us. Every crack you've ever had, every break you thought would end you, those aren't things to hide. They're the lines where your gold will shine through. The Japanese craftsman understood something profound, that an object isn't ruined by its history of breakage. It's made more precious by it. So as you walk out of here today, I invite you to look at your own cracks differently, not as scars to conceal, but as the first strokes of gold in a story that's still being written. Thank you, and may your repairs always be golden.